Good morning. It is a brisk 39 degrees here in Phoenix this morning, going on my morning walk. Today, I am going to get a DEXA scan. I haven't had one done since 2022 when I was strict carnivore. And if you've been following me, you know that I have reintroduced carbohydrates. I do approximately 50% of my caloric intake from carbohydrates now and have lowered the fat, obviously, if you look at percentage aspects. So I'm very curious to see where things are at. Body composition wise, my weight has stayed pretty stable, give or take a few pounds. And yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little nervous to see where things are at. I know my clothes are fitting better. Like, I've gone down a pant size. I haven't been a size 8. Gosh, I don't know. I can't remember last time I bought a size 8. Even in high school, I was always like a 10, 12. If you don't know what a DEXA scan is, you go in, you lay down, they scan you for about 6 minutes, and it measures not just your weight, but also how much muscle mass you have, how much body fat percentage you have, what your bone density is, visceral fat, I think maybe body water as well. I can't remember. But basically, you are measuring like true metabolic health in the sense of, do you have a lot of fat or not? Because obviously when you're weighing yourself every day, that's just, I like to tell people, like the gravitational pull towards the earth, right? You don't know how much of that is muscle and how much of that is fat. So if you look at a football player, you know, they weigh a lot, but they are a lot of muscle. And so even though they have a high BMI, that doesn't necessarily mean they're unhealthy, because that is a lot of muscle, and muscle is the organ of longevity. The more muscle you have, the better glucose disposal you have in your body. So yeah, you want to see how much muscle you have is always a better measurement than just looking at the number on the scale. The sun is really getting in my eyes. So the one downfall of the DEXA scan is obviously you're not going to be getting them very often because they run approximately $100 each scan. Now, I bought a coupon gift card during Black Friday in November, knowing that I was going to do this in the future. So I got mine for $80 instead of $100. And it's right by me. It's called Dexa Fit, North Phoenix. So it's very close by. I'm going to head over. But yeah, you're not going to be doing these like every week, right? You don't want to. So you just take a measurement, you do what you're going to do, and then you get another one 3, 5, 6 months later, whatever it is that you want, and just make sure you're going on the right path. There are ones at home that you can buy that you can keep at your home. I used one before and it was wildly inaccurate, and it's a very popular brand that influencers will promote. And I bought into it, and then when I actually measured, like it was saying my muscle mass was fluctuating up to 5 pounds every day, and I said, no, that doesn't make any sense. Muscle is not going to fluctuate 5 pounds in one day. Anyhow, I'm going to take you along for the journey, and you'll get to see what it's like over there and talk to the person and see my results. Come on, let's go. All right, I am on my way. Here we go to Dexa Fit, North Phoenix, and I'm gonna get my body scanned. All right, here we are, going to get the scan and see where the body comp is at. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
I'm David.
David. Jen, nice to meet you.
Donovan,
Nice to meet you.
Emma,
nice to meet you.
I'll have you stand for a second. All right, you can step off. The scanner will get like a true weight itself based on the scan. But yeah, we can get on now.
Cool.
Head up here, feet right down here, just lying on your back.
Okay.
All right, perfect. I'll have you scoot the tiniest bit to your right. Okay, right there. This strap is gonna go under your ankles. This is gonna help you keep your legs straight in position correctly. And you can put tension on it. All right, Jennifer, total scan time is going to be about 6.5 minutes. Once you pass the head, yeah, you can talk. I'll let you know what it is. And once you pass your hands, you can move your hands freely if you need to. You don't have to keep them still. And I'll let you know when that's happening. Yeah, go ahead and relax and we'll get started. This first report will be just the raw data we'll go over. So it gives you total body fat percentage, 31.1, total mass. So like I said, it gets a true weight based off the scan itself. So not just based off of the scale. Fat tissue in pounds, lean tissue, that's going to be mostly muscle, lean tissue. And then bone mineral content, that's BMC, 5.4 pounds. Visceral fat, 0.49 pounds. We'll dive into kind of what everything means, what's visceral, bone mineral content, all that. But yeah, those are your numbers. This is looking for any muscle imbalances. So for example, on the arms, 4.9 pounds of lean mass in your right arm, 4.7 in your left. So a 0.2 pound difference. That's pretty balanced. I would say if it was like a pound difference, maybe you can focus on that in the gym.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you're compensating and
yeah.
But yeah, 0.2 small. Same with the leg, 17.2 in your right leg, 17.1 in your left leg. So 0.1 pound difference. Right leg, right side dominance. I'm assuming you're right-handed. Yeah. So, but yeah, the only risk of this, if it's over a pound or so, like you might be overusing one side, which would cause like overuse injuries if you're just favoring one side all the time. This breaks down your body composition or body makeup into regions. It's a lot of numbers. It's cleaned up a bit better in the next report, but it breaks up your body in the arms, legs, trunk, android, gynoid regions, and then breaks them up into body fat percentage per region, fat, lean, bone mineral content, and total mass in pounds per region. But I like to specify what they mean because most people aren't familiar with android, gynoid. So arms and legs, we obviously know right here. Yep. When I say trunk, it's this downward facing arrow here.
Okay.
So this entire portion is what they mean by trunk. Android is the belly region here, and then gynoid is this hip box here.
Okay, that makes sense.
So android, gynoid, basically belly to hips. Android gynoid ratio is the belly to hip ratio. So body fat in your belly divided by the body fat in your hips gives you a ratio. A ratio under 1.0 is basically saying you store more body fat in the hips as opposed to the belly, which is usually a good thing for visceral fats. But that's kind of why we pay attention to the ratio because it correlates with visceral fat. The numbers tend to rise and fall together. But the key takeaway is going to be visceral fat, more importantly. So visceral fat is the bad fat we have in and around the organs in the red here. Yeah. Not to be confused with subcutaneous in the blue. This isn't like the fat you can pinch, but it's just deep in there and the organs can form around the organs. More of it we see has higher risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, all those metabolic diseases. But we generally tell people, kind of like a blanket term, that a pound or below is a good range to be at.
Awesome.
So yeah,
so
and
carbs
actually,
aren't giving me visceral fat.
No, yeah. And actually, under half a pound is considered excellent. So you're actually in the excellent range. So that's great. The closer to zero, the better. But not everyone can get to zero. That's more like a genetic factor involved at that point. If you're getting to like zero. Okay. But yeah, as long as you're staying under a pound, that's generally a good range. So visceral fat's looking good. Things that'll bring this up are, eating bad, like processed foods, alcohol, high processed sugars, like all the things that we know is like bad for us. Yeah. So in general, even stress can bring it up.
Yeah, that's been my main focus the past year is bringing the stress down. For sure.
Things that'll bring it down are the opposite of all of those. Specifically, zone 2 cardio will help fat burn and specifically visceral fat. Zone 2, I don't know if you're familiar. There's 4 different zones. Zone 4 being like the hardest, you're sprinting, working really hard. Yeah. Zone 2 is kind of like that low intensity where your body's pulling from the fats as storage. The harder your work, you're actually burning more carbs. So if you're kind of staying in those low intensities for like 30, 40 minutes, zone 2 kind of feels like something you could keep up and hold a conversation. So you're not like gasping for air. Okay. But you're still getting like a good sweat going. Okay. But then obviously, dieting or having a clean foods, keeping the stress low, kind of all those things play a factor. But looking good on the amount.
I don't know if we'll talk about this afterwards, but is this like what would you say this is too high still or?
Oh, the pounds?
No, sorry, the percentage of the android versus gynoid.
Oh, no. And I would say As long as your visceral is low, that doesn't really like matter where it's stored. And it's also normal for men tend to have, so like I said, a ratio under 1 is more hip storage as opposed to the belly. Men actually tend to have higher ratios over 1 just because men tend to store more fat in the belly region. A lot of people come in worrying about what body fat percentage I should be at. They're looking at the charts. I just say like wherever you can hold a low visceral fat. Like there's people at 30% that can hold a low visceral fat. There's people at 30% that can have 2 pounds of visceral fat. It kind of just varies person to person. But yeah, great job with that. And then this page is focusing on bone. Your bones are measured in a T-score and a Z-score. So T-score compares you to the average 30-year-old because that's when we hit peak bone density. Z-score compares you to your peers, everyone in your age, gender, height, weight, ethnicity groups. Okay. So for reference, a score of 0 is basically average, like right in the middle. They're measured in standard deviations. So 0 is where most people fall. Positives is above average in bone density. Negatives is below average in bone density. So you are 1.4 standard deviations above average when it comes to both your peers and 30-year-olds. So wonderful. Yeah, so this is a total body average of all your bones. If you're like truly curious to get like a true diagnosis, technically we can't diagnose you. Sure. But bone specific doctors will just scan like a specific site, like the forearm, lumbar vertebrae. I don't know have you ever gone to site specific scan? I haven't. Yeah. So they'll scan one site. If one specific area has a T-score of -1 to -2.5, that's considered osteopenia. Anything below that's considered osteoporosis. If it's just in that one region. But usually if your total body average is 1.4, that's pretty high. There's low risk that your one little region's gonna be lower, like in the negatives, in the osteopenia, osteoporosis ranges. So, I mean, things that'll help. Anything hormone related with bones, but resistance training also helps. But yeah, if you just basically saying if you keep doing what you're doing, we expect your bones to still look fine. That's great. So it's good to see that I have. Yeah, I'm doing what I need to do to prevent it. This breaks down your body fat percentage per region, so you can kind of see where the fat's stored. Next time you come in, it'll show a percent change versus the last scan. So we'll see by percent where the body fat's changed. And then total mass, fat mass, lean mass does it. So the next one, it's a lot of the same numbers, but it does a good job of kind of putting it into more perspective. So it gives you a body grade. B+ is still way above average. That's great. Nice. I'm happy. Yeah, no, that's good. And how we get the grade is basically based off of all these factors. So, for example, the bone health, remember T-score is the bone health. That's in the excellent. It gives you a target, which is basically the same as what you came in at. So basically it's asking you to maintain your bone health. Okay. Visceral fat, like I said, anything under 0.5 pound here is considered excellent. So you are just in that excellent region. Anything under 1 pound is considered fair, but you are just right in the excellent region, which is great. It gives you a target of 0 just because it's basically saying the lower the better. And then lean mass, you came in at 97.7 pounds. It actually likes where you're at pretty much with muscle. It's maybe asking you to put on a little more. You can always put on more than this. It's never a bad thing to gain more muscle. Right. But it's saying it actually likes where you are. And then body fat, it gives you a body fat goal. It gives you a total mass goal. I would say those are more preference for the most part as long as everything else is looking good. Even if you gain muscle without losing any fat, this can still drop the body fat percentage. Sure. What's crazy, the scale thing is like, it's so hard to get over because I haven't seen this number at home for a while. What does it say? So my scale at home says this morning it was 145.5. So then when I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, I had dropped like 5 pounds over the past 6 months. And then I see that again. Does it give you body fat percentage? Yeah, but I know it's not accurate. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like one of those cheapos on Amazon. To look at for next time. So next time you come in, it'll show per region, legs, trunk, arms, where the changes happen. So for example, like let's say you're hitting a whole bunch of leg days. Mm-hmm. We expect the blue and the lean to rise and then the fat to drop, for example, if you're just hitting the legs hard. But yeah, we'll just basically see where those gains happen. Okay. And that also breaks down body or lean mass, muscle in percentage in pounds per region, and then fat in percentage in pounds per region. And then this is the muscle page. This is kind of how they quantify your muscle. So appendicular lean mass index is the muscle in your arms and legs only in kilograms divided by your height squared. And you're in the above average, which is great. So this is basically this is kind of like a longevity functionality metric, because as we increase in age, we naturally lose muscle, hence lose functionality. So we want to stay functional throughout our whole life. We want to stay well muscled in our arms or legs throughout our whole life. So that's why it's good to have this nice and high like you have it now. This is based off the DEXA Fit demographic. So people who come in on at average aren't average based on like the total population in the world. They're average based on people that come into DEXA Fit and get scanned. So take that as you will. It usually kind of means that most people that come into DEXA Fit are more focused on health. So it's based off of that demographic. So people who come in average are actually not in a bad spot with muscle. So that's why it's really good that you're actually. Yeah, and then so that's arms and legs only divided by your height. Fat-free mass index basically takes the fat out of your body and looks at lean mass in kilograms total body divided by your height. So basically how well muscled total body you are for your stature, for your height. It's a bit better metric instead of BMI for some people because BMI can be a bit misleading. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah.
Like a bodybuilder will often be considered like as obese or overweight. Yeah. Just because BMI is height overweight and then it spits them out on the chart.
It tells you nothing really.
We don't really know what type of weight. If it's for a bodybuilder, most of that weight's muscle.
Right.
But it'll still classify them as like overweight or whatever. So this is kind of how we account for that difference. So take the fat out, look at how well muscled you are for your stature. So
awesome.
Looking above average there, that's kind of how they know where to place you here. That's why they placed you in the excellent, right above the good to the excellent, because you were above average here.
Awesome.
So yeah, muscles looking good. Same with visceral fat, and then the AG ratio, your where the belly fat is stored compared to the hips. You skew more towards the hip storage side. In this case, pear-shaped. Bone mineral content. So that's the weight of the mineral portion of your skeleton. So the white the calcium makeup part, the mineral portion that makes up the density. That's the weight of it, and then the quality of that density is excellent.
Great, wonderful. I was really hoping for under 30% body fat.
I mean, you're right there.
But yeah, I'm close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I would say this is a great baseline score. You have great numbers to work off of, and yeah.
My body fat in 2022 was 33%. So it has gone down a little bit. Yeah. I wish it was more, but that's okay. I know most of it has been the past, where are we, February? Basically since July.
So I guess like dropping body fat percentage is kind of like, is it kind of more like an aesthetic thing?
Yeah. It's a little bit of it's more, I just want to look. Honestly, a big part of it is wearing jeans and having it not like stick in your stomach when you sit down. Okay. Like that's because I try to tie practicality to things too. Like it's not just vain and I want to look good. It's literally that part. Like this, I know you said in body's a little different, but this was only what I found. This was April of last year, and it gave 33.3% body fat. All right, so it's done. And he gave a lot of numbers, But when I get home, I'm going to look for my old DEXA and then compare it as well. But right now, I have an in-body scan that I did in April of last year. And my body fat mass from the in-body scan, which it's not comparing the exact same thing because in-body scan uses bioimpedance versus DEXA is like an actual scan. But body fat mass with the in-body was 50.4 pounds. And right now my fat is 46.5. So I'm down 4 pounds of fat since last year, since bringing carbohydrates in. Lean tissue looks like it went down a little bit. Lean body with the in-body scan was 100.8. And this one is 103. So I've gained 3 pounds of lean body mass according to the in-body. So percentage wise, yes, I would love to be down more. You know, it says I was 33.3% and now I'm down to 31.1%. I was really hoping to hit the 20s, but at least I know now that I'm on the right track and it's going the right direction, finally. So I would highly suggest you to find a DEXA near you. If you're in Arizona, Dexa Fit is a really good option. I loved their service. They were quick, really friendly. They have one in North Phoenix, in Scottsdale, and in Tempe. So wherever you are in the valley, you should be able to access one. But I know there's lots of other places that do DEXA scans. I originally had mine done in Texas when I went to a conference down there. And they have mobile ones, all kinds of places. So you don't need a physician order to go to these kinds. You just have to pay out of pocket. That's the only thing. But I'll definitely be doing another one in about 3 months to see where progress is at. And yeah, if you liked this part of my journey, just watching and learning about DEXA scans and body composition and fat percentage and lean body mass and all that kind of stuff, then make sure you hit subscribe, follow, and I don't know, tell me what you think in the comments. All right, before I show you these results, I really wish it was more of a drastic difference. I think it's not that I'm trying to prove that carbs make you lose weight or make you healthier, but I think this is helpful to see that even though I'm eating no longer really that low carb, right, that I'm not gaining crazy amount of weight. Okay, so keep that in mind while I show you this. All right, this was the one in 2022 that I had done. This is today's on 2026. Okay, so this is what I wrote down on my form because that's what I weighed when I was home, right? But this is this is what they measured me at, was 153.7. This time they measured me 149.7, so down about 4 pounds, which is also, keep in mind, when you increase carbs, your glycogen stores are replenished, so you're holding on to more water. So if I wasn't having, like, taking that into account, up to 6 pounds of this is water weight in the muscles, etc. Okay. Go over here. Fat tissue was 50.9 pounds. Now I'm down to 46.5 pounds. So that's a fantastic drop. Lean tissue is still pretty much the same, 97.5, 97.7. I mean, it's definitely the right direction if it is moving. Bone mineral content is still fantastic at 5.4. Fat percentage went from 33.1 down to 31.1. I would have liked to see it move quicker. Obviously it didn't. Okay, here's one other thing. So you heard him talking about visceral fat, right? And I have less than a half a pound of visceral fat on my body. So here's what mine was before when I was strict carnivore. So I had 0.88 pounds of visceral fat, which is still good. You want it under a pound, but mine now is 0.49. So that's significant. I think that's a really significant drop in visceral fat. And then the android, gynoid, and then the ratio. So I was 36.4 and now I'm 31%. So that's a 5.5% body fat reduction in that trunk area. It was 38.8 in the gynoid area. Now it's 38.1. So it's going in the right direction for sure. The ratio is 0.8. It used to be 0.94. As long as it's under 1, it's great. But I mean, look, it went from 0.94, it's going lower. So that's really good. So yeah, as again, I'm just reminding you, I'm not trying to say one way of eating is worse than the other or better than the other. I'm just showing the differences of when I was carnivore versus when eating lots of carbs. Obviously, it's not hugely drastically different yet. I would like it to be more, but I know I haven't been in a calorie deficit. I know I've been eating at maintenance for a while. So now I'm actually going to go into a deficit next month and sustain that for at least 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to try to go very slowly because I don't want to put my body back in shock from under eating so much. And then I will remeasure and see what's happening. So anyways, that's that.